The hot wind blew across the dead moon's surface as Thekmori wiped sweat from his forehead. His team had been digging for 3 weeks now, and still the metal object went deeper than anyone expected. What started as a simple survey mission had turned into something much bigger. "Pass me the scanner," Thekmori called to his partner Veltara. She was the smart one on the team, always finding things others missed. Her assistant Quindal helped carry the heavy equipment across the rocky ground. Veltara ran the scanner over the exposed metal surface. The readings made no sense. "This metal is older than our home planet," she said, her voice shaking. "But look at how perfect it is. No rust, no damage at all." The 3 aliens had come to this empty moon looking for simple rock samples. Their government wanted to know if the moon had useful minerals. Instead, they found something that should not exist. A massive object buried deep under tons of dirt and stone. Quindal pointed at the smooth curves of the metal surface. "This is not natural. Someone built this thing." Thekmori nodded. In his 30 years of digging up old things, he had never seen anything like this. The metal was too advanced, too perfect. Their own ships were made of much simpler materials. They kept digging. Hours passed. The sun set and rose again. The object kept getting bigger as they uncovered more of it. Soon they realized they were standing on top of something enormous, something that looked like a ship. "We need to call this in," Veltara said. But Thekmori shook his head. "Not yet. Let's see what this really is first." They found what looked like a door. It was sealed tight, but their cutting tools managed to make a small hole. Hot air rushed out from inside the ship. The air was breathable, which was strange. How could air stay fresh inside something buried for so long? Quindal made the hole bigger with his plasma cutter. Soon it was large enough for them to crawl through. Inside the ship was darkness. Their lights showed long hallways with smooth walls. Everything was clean and new-looking, as if the ship was built yesterday. But the scanner readings showed it was incredibly old. "This makes no sense," Veltara whispered. "Nothing stays this perfect for so long." They walked deeper into the ship. The hallways were big enough for creatures much larger than themselves. Strange symbols covered the walls. Veltara took pictures of everything with her camera. Suddenly, lights came on. All 3 aliens jumped back in fear. A voice spoke from hidden speakers. The language was unknown, but somehow they could understand some words. The ship's computer was trying to talk to them. "Warning. Unauthorized beings detected. Scanning for threat level." Blue light washed over them. Thekmori felt his skin tingle. The computer was examining them, learning about them. "Scan complete. Species unknown. Technology level, primitive. Threat assessment, minimal." The lights became brighter. More systems came online. Screens appeared on the walls showing star maps that none of them recognized. The stars were in the wrong places. "The ship is very, very old," Veltara said. "These star maps show our galaxy from long ago, before the stars moved to where they are now." The computer voice spoke again. This time it sounded different, more like a person talking. "I am Commander Hyunwoo of the Terran Deep Strike Fleet. State your purpose for boarding this vessel." Thekmori found his voice. "We are explorers. We found your ship by accident. We mean no harm." "Terran," the voice repeated. "Unknown species designation. Accessing historical databases." Pictures appeared on the screens. They showed creatures that walked on 2 legs, with no fur or scales. They had small eyes and strange flat faces. These creatures wore clothes that looked like military uniforms. "These beings," Quindal said, pointing at the pictures. "What are they?" "We called ourselves humans," Commander Hyunwoo answered, "though that word may not translate properly to your language." More pictures showed up. Massive battles in space. Ships firing weapons that could destroy planets. Explosions that lit up entire solar systems. The humans in the pictures always seemed to be winning these battles. "How long have you been sleeping in this ship?" Veltara asked. The computer was quiet for a long moment. "Current data analysis indicates I have been in standby mode for approximately 47,000 years. This is within normal mission parameters." "Normal?" Tekmori could not believe what he was hearing. You were supposed to sleep. That long? Affirmative. Deep strike missions require extended dormancy periods between active phases. My current mission duration is 100,000 years with possible extensions based on galactic conditions. The screens now showed more detailed star maps. Red dots marked thousands of locations across the galaxy. Each dot had numbers next to it that kept changing. What are those red dots? Quindal asked. Mission targets, Commander Hyunwoo replied. Enemy installations, population centers, strategic resources, and elimination priorities. Veltara felt cold fear in her stomach. Elimination. Priorities? Species that have grown beyond acceptable power levels. Civilizations that pose potential threats to human dominance. Your species appears to be approaching the warning threshold. The screens changed again. Now they showed the aliens' own home. Planets. Their cities, their ships, their people. The computer had been watching them. You have been spying on us, Tekmori said. Surveillance is continuous. All developing species are monitored for threat assessment. When necessary, corrective action is taken. Corrective action? Elimination of the species before they become a significant threat. This has been standard procedure for the past 100,000 years. The three aliens looked at each other in horror. This ancient human ship was telling them that their entire civilization was being watched by some unknown enemy. An enemy that destroyed other civilizations when they became too advanced. How many others? Veltara asked quietly. How many species have you eliminated? The screen showed a long list of names. Hundreds of different species. Next to each name was a date and the word terminated. All potential competitors have been neutralized as per standing orders. The galaxy can only support one apex species. Humans earned that position through superior warfare. Commander Hyunwoo's voice became more businesslike. Your discovery of this vessel indicates your species has reached advanced archaeological capabilities. This suggests you may be approaching elimination threshold earlier than projected. What does that mean? Quindal asked, though he was afraid of the answer. It means I must wake up my crew and contact other sleeping fleets. The next culling phase may need to begin ahead of schedule. Deep in the ship, other systems began powering up. The three aliens heard the sound of machinery coming to life after thousands of years of silence. Lights blinked on in distant corridors. Here, recommend you contact your government immediately, Commander Hyunwoo said. They will want to know that humanity has returned. Tekmori, Veltara, and Quindal ran back toward the hole they had cut in the ship's hull. Behind them, the ancient human warship continued waking up from its long sleep. They had come looking for rocks and minerals. Instead, they had found something that would change everything. As they climbed out of the ship, they could see lights beginning to glow in the buried hull. The ship was getting ready for war again after 47,000 years of waiting. They had no idea that their simple archaeological dig had just started the countdown to the next great war in galactic history. Professor Zixara arrived on the dead moon 3 days later. She was the best expert on old civilizations in the entire Galactic Council. Her job was to study dead species and figure out why they had disappeared from the galaxy. When Tekmori showed her the human ship, she could not believe her eyes. The metal hull was now fully exposed after more digging. The ship was enormous, bigger than their largest space stations. This changes everything we know about galactic history, she said, running her scaled hands over the smooth metal surface. Inside the ship, Commander Hyunwoo was still active. The artificial intelligence seemed happy to answer their questions, though his answers were often terrifying. Commander, can you tell us about the other species you mentioned? The ones your people eliminated? The main screen lit up with pictures and data, accessing historical combat records. Warning: this information is classified as military intelligence. We just want to understand, Veltara said. We are not warriors. Understood. Beginning educational briefing on human military history. The screen showed a map of the galaxy from long ago. Different colored areas marked the territories of various alien civilizations. The first major campaign was against the Catherian Empire, 87,000 years ago. They had controlled 2,000 star systems and possessed advanced energy weapons. Pictures showed beautiful crystal beings living in magnificent cities that floated in space. Their ships looked like works of art, all curves and glowing lights. They seemed peaceful, Quindel observed. They were expanding rapidly and had discovered the locations of several human observation posts. General Tae-min determined they posed an unacceptable risk to operational security. The pictures changed to show massive explosions. The beautiful crystal cities were burning. Catherian ships were being torn apart by weapons that seemed to come from nowhere. General Tae-min used a strategy called the Siege of Seven Suns. 7 different Catherian systems were attacked simultaneously. Their capital worlds were destroyed within 72 hours. Professor Zixara was writing notes as fast as she could. We found crystal ruins on several worlds in that region. We always thought they were destroyed by natural disasters. Negative. All destruction was the result of planned military action. Human forces used concentrated solar flares to sterilize the target worlds, while leaving them suitable for future human colonization. The screen changed again. Now it showed a different species, tall, thin beings with multiple arms and large brains. The Nexari collective lasted longer. 52,000 years ago, they had developed advanced computer technology and were beginning to scan for hidden artificial structures. They were looking for you, Tekmori said. Correct. Admiral So Young determined that the Nexari had a 23% chance of discovering major human installations within 500 years. This was above the acceptable threshold. The pictures showed Nexari, cities that looked like massive computers. Everything was organized and efficient. The beings seemed to live in harmony with their machines. Admiral So Young pioneered the scorched earth strategy. Rather than quick strikes, human forces systematically destroyed every Nexari world over a period of 50 years. No Nexari technology or knowledge was allowed to survive. The images were horrible. Nexari worlds burning from pole to pole. Their great computer cities melting into slag. Millions of the tall beings running in panic as human weapons turned their orderly worlds into hell. Why so thorough? Professor Zixara asked. Why not just defeat them and leave? The Nexari collective. Intelligence posed a long-term threat. Their distributed computer network could have eventually detected all human hidden bases. Complete elimination was the only acceptable solution. Veltara felt sick. These humans had not just won battles. They had wiped out entire civilizations, without leaving any survivors. The screen changed a third time. Now it showed beings that looked almost familiar. They were similar to several species in the current Galactic Council. The Prothean Federation was the most recent elimination, $23,000 years ago. They had achieved faster-than-light communication and were mapping the entire galaxy. The Protheans had built a civilization that looked like paradise. Their cities were green and clean. They seemed to live in peace with nature while still having advanced technology. Commander Jinho developed the infiltration strategy for the Prothean campaign. Human agents had been living among the Protheans for over 3,000 years before the elimination order was given. You had spies living with them for thousands of years? Quindal asked in shock. Standard procedure. Long-term intelligence gathering is essential for effective elimination campaigns. The Prothean elimination was completed in just 6 months because we understood their society completely. The pictures showed Prothean leaders being killed by people they had trusted for centuries. Their great ships were sabotaged from within. Their communications networks were turned against them. The Protheans never had a chance, Professor Zixara whispered. That was the intention. A fair fight is a failure of planning. The goal is always total victory with minimal human casualties. Commander Hyunwoo brought up more data. Lists of species names scrolled past on the screen. Hundreds of them. All marked as eliminated or terminated. Each major elimination campaign was followed by a dormancy period, the AI explained. Human forces would withdraw to hidden bases and monitor galactic development. When the next dominant species emerged, the cycle would repeat. How long have humans been doing this? Tekmori asked. Current operational doctrine has been in effect for 100,000 years. During this time, 17 major civilizations and 847 minor species have been eliminated to maintain human galactic dominance. The aliens looked at the long list of dead civilizations. Each one had probably thought they were alone in the galaxy. Each one had built great works and dreamed of exploring the stars. All had been destroyed by an enemy they never knew existed. "What about us?" Veltara asked quietly. "What about our people?" The screen changed to show detailed information about the Galactic Council. Pictures of their ships, their weapons, their planets. The data was incredibly detailed and completely up to date. Current threat assessment indicates the Galactic Council represents the next elimination target. Your civilization has exceeded acceptable parameters in several categories. What categories? Military expansion, technological advancement, territorial control, and resource consumption. Most critically, your archaeological programs have begun investigating sites that contain human installations. Professor Zixara realized the truth. "That is why we found this ship. You wanted us to find it." Partially correct. This vessel was programmed to activate when local species reached sufficient advancement to pose a potential threat. Your discovery indicates elimination protocols should be implemented within the next 50 years. 50 years, Tekmori repeated. "You are giving us 50 years before you destroy our entire civilization." Negative. 50 years is the maximum recommended delay. Actual elimination timeline will depend on council expansion rates and technological development. If your species advances too quickly, the timeline will be accelerated. The ship's systems hummed around them. Deep in the hull, more machines were coming online after thousands of years of sleep. "Are there others like you?" Professor Zixara asked. "Other ships?" Affirmative. Deep Strike Fleet consists of 847 vessels distributed throughout the galaxy. Additional human forces include surveillance networks, hidden colonies, and infiltration assets embedded in current galactic civilization. Embedded in our civilization? Human agents have been monitoring the Galactic Council for the past 8,000 years. Complete intelligence files exist on all major council species, governments, and military capabilities. The three aliens and the professor stared at each other. Their entire civilization was already surrounded by enemies they had never suspected. Humans had been watching them, studying them, preparing to destroy them for thousands of years. "What do you want from us?" Professor Zixara asked. "Information exchange is complete. You now understand the situation. I recommend you inform your government that the next culling phase will begin soon. This will allow them to prepare appropriately." Prepare? How? Previous civilizations have attempted various strategies: military buildup, diplomatic negotiation, technological advancement, and territorial expansion. All have proven ineffective against human operational doctrine. Commander Hyunwoo's voice became almost friendly. However, detailed study of human tactics may allow your species to survive longer than previous elimination targets. The average elimination campaign lasts 2.3 years. With proper preparation, you might extend this to 5 or even 10 years. The aliens looked at the screens showing their homeworlds. Soon, those beautiful planets might be burning just like the Catherian crystal cities and the Nixari computer worlds. The war records showed the truth. Humans were not explorers or diplomats. They were the galaxy's apex predators, and it was almost time for them to hunt again. Dr. Veltara had not slept in 3 days. She sat in front of the ship's main computer trying to understand the massive files Commander Hyunwoo had given her access to. The more she learned about human strategy, the more frightened she became. "Computer, can you explain the overall human plan? I want to understand how you have controlled the galaxy for so long." Accessing strategic doctrine files. Warning, this information is classified at the highest levels. Initiating educational protocols. The screen showed a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy. Thousands of red dots marked human positions throughout space. Veltara was shocked to see how many there were. Human galactic strategy consists of 3 primary phases, Commander Hyunwoo explained. These phases have been repeated successfully for 100,000 years under the direction of Supreme Coordinator Yi Jun. Who is Yi Jun? Supreme Coordinator Yi Jun is the primary strategic intelligence responsible for long-term human dominance planning. Yi Jun's consciousness has been preserved and updated continuously since the beginning of galactic operations. A new image appeared on the screen. It showed a human face, but something about it seemed strange. The eyes were too knowing, too old for the young face. Yi Jun has been alive for 100,000 years? Consciousness preservation technology allows key personnel to survive indefinitely. Supreme Coordinator Yi Jun has personally planned and supervised every major elimination campaign in galactic history. Veltara felt a chill. This meant that one human mind had been responsible for destroying hundreds of civilizations. Explain the 3 phases, please. Phase 1. The seeding. This phase began 100,000 years ago when humans first achieved interstellar travel. Rather than announcing their presence, they chose to establish hidden bases throughout the galaxy. The map changed to show the galaxy as it was long ago. Streams of light showed human ships moving to thousands of different star systems. Seeding. Teams led by specialists like Captain Mi Young and her deep space colonization experts selected worlds that other species would ignore. Dead moons, asteroid fields, gas giant cores, and systems with dangerous radiation. Why hide? Why not just take over the galaxy openly? Supreme Coordinator Yi Jun determined that open conquest would be inefficient. Controlling a galaxy requires constant military force. Hidden control allows humans to remain strong, while other species weaken themselves through normal development. The map showed how humans had chosen their hiding places carefully. They picked locations near the best star systems, but not in them. They could watch everything while remaining invisible. Each human base was designed to operate independently for up to 50,000 years. Resource extraction, manufacturing, and population growth continued even during dormancy periods. Population growth? Human colonies have been producing new generations continuously. Current estimates indicate total human population throughout. The galaxy exceeds 500 billion individuals. Veltara almost fell out of her chair. 500 billion. But we thought humans were extinct. That was the intention. Phase 2. The watching required humans to appear extinct while actually growing stronger. The screen changed to show surveillance networks. Thousands of monitoring stations scattered throughout the galaxy, all reporting back to human bases. Surveillance. Teams led by observers like Captain Wu Jin established monitoring posts in every developing star system. These posts tracked technological development, population growth, military capability, and social structure. Pictures showed human agents living among other species. They looked just like the local aliens, but somehow Veltara could tell they were different. Advanced genetic modification allows humans to appear as members of other species. Infiltration agents have lived among every major galactic civilization for thousands of years before elimination. The spies we met. How do we know if someone is really human? You do not. Current estimates indicate that 0.3% of Galactic Council population consists of human infiltration agents. They occupy positions in government, military, science, and industry. This meant there were millions of human spies living among the people of the Galactic Council. They could be anyone. They could be people Veltara had known for years. Phase 2. Agents collect detailed intelligence on every aspect of target civilizations: military deployment, leadership psychology, technological weaknesses, and social control points. The screen showed incredibly detailed files on Galactic Council leaders, personal information, family connections, psychological profiles, and strategic assessments. The humans knew everything about everyone. When a civilization approaches elimination threshold, Phase 3 begins, the culling. The map changed again. Now it showed battle plans for attacking the Galactic Council. The detail was overwhelming. Every major world had specific attack strategies. Every fleet had calculated weaknesses. Culling operations are led by senior military commanders like Marshal Yunji and Battle Commander Kyung-soo. These individuals have trained for centuries in elimination warfare. Centuries? How long do humans live? Life extension technology allows key personnel to survive for thousands of years. Marshal Unji has personally commanded 17 major elimination campaigns. Battle Commander Kyung-soo has eliminated over 200 minor species. Pictures showed human military leaders who looked young but had ancient eyes. These people had been killing civilizations since before Veltara's species had invented the wheel. Each elimination campaign follows the same pattern, Commander Hyunwoo continued. First, infiltration agents sabotage critical infrastructure. Communication networks, power generation, food distribution, and military command structures. The screen showed how this sabotage would work. Human agents in key positions would disable defenses, cut communications, and create chaos at exactly the right moment. Second, hidden human fleets emerge from concealed bases and attack weakened targets. Opposition is eliminated quickly, while the target species is still confused by the sabotage. How quickly? Average elimination time for major civilizations is 2.3 years. Minor species are typically eliminated in less than 6 months. The battle plans were terrifying in their efficiency. Humans had studied every possible defense and had counters ready for all of them. Third, complete elimination of all target species, individuals, and technology. Nothing is allowed to survive that might threaten future human operations. Veltara thought about the beautiful Prothean cities and the advanced Nexari computers, all destroyed so completely that nobody had even known they existed. Why complete elimination? Why not just conquest? Conquered species eventually rebel. Eliminated species never threaten human security again. Supreme Coordinator Yi Jun determined that complete elimination is the only permanent solution. This Yi Jun. Can we speak to them? The ship was quiet for a long moment. Deep in the hull, more systems powered up. Supreme Coordinator Yi Jun is currently in deep stasis. However, discovery of this vessel has triggered awakening protocols. Yi Jun will be fully active within 72 hours. And then what happens? Yi Jun will assess current galactic conditions and determine if the Galactic Council elimination should proceed on schedule or be accelerated. The screen showed a countdown timer. Less than 3 days until the mind that had destroyed hundreds of civilizations would wake up and decide the fate of every living being in the current galaxy. Computer, is there any way our people can survive? Any strategy that might work? Previous elimination targets have attempted various survival strategies. All have failed, but some must have lasted longer than others. Affirmative. The hegemony of Vorth survived for 8.7 years by dispersing their population and avoiding direct military confrontation. The collective of minds lasted 12.1 years by constantly relocating their mobile worlds. What happened to them? Both civilizations were eventually eliminated completely. Humans have unlimited time and resources. All other species have limited lifespans and finite resources. The outcome is always inevitable. Veltara stared at the strategic files scrolling past on the screen. Every detail had been planned. Every possible escape route had been blocked. Humans had been playing a game for 100,000 years and they had never lost. Why are you telling us this? She asked. Why give us this information? Educational value. Previous civilizations were eliminated without understanding why. Supreme Coordinator Yi Jun has determined that informed elimination targets provide better data for refining future operations. You want us to know we are going to die so you can study how we react. Correct. Your species' response to inevitable elimination will help improve strategies for eliminating the next galactic civilization that emerges in 20,000, 30,000 years. The timer on the screen continued counting down. Less than 3 days until Yi Jun woke up. Less than 3 days until the fate of every living being in the galaxy would be decided by a human mind that had been planning mass murder for $100,000 years. Veltara looked at the files showing her home worlds. Soon those worlds might be nothing but burning rocks floating in space, just like all the others that had dared to reach for the stars. The countdown timer reached 0 at exactly midday on the 4th day. Veltara, Takamori, Quindal, and Professor Zixara watched the main screen as something deep in the ship came to life. Awakening protocol initiated, Commander Hyunwoo announced. Supreme Coordinator Yi Jun is now active. The screen flickered and changed. The face that appeared looked human, but the eyes held the weight of 100,000 years. When Yijun spoke, the voice was calm and terrifying. Status report, Commander. Target species has achieved elimination threshold ahead of projected timeline. Archaeological discovery of this vessel indicates advanced investigation capabilities. Recommend immediate acceleration of culling operations. Understood. Initiate galaxy-wide awakening. All deep strike vessels are to achieve full operational status within 48 hours. Veltara felt her heart skip a beat. All deep strike vessels? Yijun's ancient eyes focused on her. Dr. Veltara of the Galactic Council Archaeological Division. Your discovery has been most educational. You represent the 847th species to uncover human operations through archaeological investigation. What happened to the other 846? They were eliminated as per standard protocol. However, your species has reached elimination threshold 3,000 years earlier than projected. This suggests our assessment models require updating. The screen split to show multiple feeds from across the galaxy. Ancient installations were powering up on hundreds of worlds. Ships that had slept for thousands of years were beginning to move. Tactical AI Sujin, report fleet status, Yijun commanded. A new voice answered, younger, but equally cold. Deep, strike fleet achieving 23% operational capacity. Full activation expected in 47 hours, all vessels responding to awakening signals. Professor Zixara stepped forward. Please, we need to understand. Why is this necessary? Our species could coexist with yours. Yijun's expression did not change. Coexistence is inefficient. The galaxy has finite resources. Multiple apex species lead to conflict and waste. One species must dominate completely, but we are not trying to dominate anyone. Your intentions are irrelevant. Your capabilities matter. The Galactic Council controls 14,000 star systems and possesses weapons capable of destroying planets. This exceeds acceptable threshold parameters. On the screen, more human installations came online. Veltara saw weapons platforms emerging from asteroid fields where they had hidden for millennia. Massive ships rose from the surfaces of dead worlds. Strategic Coordinator Jae Sung, update elimination planning, Yijun ordered. Another voice responded. Current Galactic Council military deployment analyzed. 12,147 combat vessels, 890 orbital defense platforms, 67 planet killer weapons. Estimated elimination timeline, 14 months with 97.3% probability of success. Acceptable. Begin Phase 1. Operations immediately. Across the galaxy, signals went out to human agents who had been waiting for this moment their entire lives. Every major council world, sleeper agents received their activation codes. Thekmori watched in horror as the screen showed council space stations beginning to experience mysterious system failures. Communication networks started going down. Power grids flickered and died. Agent Heywan, report from Council Central Command, Yijun said. A human voice answered, but it was speaking from inside the Galactic Council's most secure military facility. All command protocols compromised. Military communication network down in sectors 7 through 23. Fleet deployment orders have been corrupted. Excellent. Agent Sangwook, status on industrial sabotage? Manufacturing facilities on 247 worlds now offline. Weapons production reduced by 78%. Food distribution networks disrupted on all major population centers. Veltara realized the horrible truth. While they had been studying this ancient ship, humans had been destroying her civilization from within. The people she had trusted, the leaders she had respected, some of them had been human agents all along. How long have your people been among us? She asked. Yijun consulted data scrolling past on screens. Initial infiltration began 8,000 years ago. Current estimates indicate 2.3 million human agents are embedded throughout Council territory. 2 million? Infiltration is a long-term process. Agents are born into target societies, live full lives as members of those societies, and have families with local populations. Multi-generational infiltration ensures deep psychological cover. This meant that humans had been intermarrying with Council species for thousands of years. Some of the aliens in Council space were actually part human, bred specifically to be perfect spies. Colonel Hyorin, Fleet Deployment Status, Yi-Jun commanded. First attack group has cleared hidden bases in the Kepler sector. 47 vessels moving to attack positions. Enemy detection probability remains at 0. Major General Nam Gil, deep strike preparation. Infiltration teams have secured primary targets on all Council capital worlds. Government centers, military headquarters, and communication hubs are ready for simultaneous elimination. The coordination was perfect. While Council leaders thought they were safe in their offices, human agents were already in position to kill them all at exactly the same moment. When will the attack begin? Professor Zixara asked. Attack has already begun, Yi-Jun replied. You are witnessing Phase 1, infrastructure elimination. Phase 2 will commence when enemy defensive capability has been reduced to acceptable levels. The screen showed Council worlds falling into chaos. Without communications or power, their fleets could not coordinate. Without manufacturing, they could not build new weapons. Without food distribution, their populations were beginning to panic. Grand Admiral Minho, are you prepared for Phase 2 operations? A new voice answered, and this one sounded different from the others. Older, more experienced, with the confidence of someone who had never lost a battle. All fleet elements, ready, Supreme Coordinator. We have been waiting 47,000 years for this moment. 47,000 years? Quindal whispered. Grand Admiral Minho was commander of human forces during the previous elimination campaign, Yi-Jun explained. Extended life support has allowed our most experienced leaders to personally conduct multiple galactic cullings. The idea was terrifying. This was not just a military campaign. It was a coordinated effort led by people who had been perfecting the art of genocide for tens of thousands of years. Fleet Admiral Su Jung, report from Battle Group Alpha. Emerging from concealment in the Vega sector. 127 vessels fully operational. Enemy forces have no detection of our approach. Battle Group Leader Dongwook status. Battle Group Beta. Positioned for simultaneous strike on Council core worlds. Elimination of primary targets can begin on your command. Yi-Jun studied the tactical displays. Everything was going exactly as planned. Computer, how long until our government realizes what is happening? Thekmori asked. Commander Hyunwoo answered. Council leadership became aware of systematic infrastructure failure approximately 4 hours ago. However, communication disruption prevents coordinated response. Estimate 12 to 18 hours before they understand they are under attack by an unknown enemy. And by then, Phase 2 will be complete, and Council military capability will be reduced by 89%. Remaining forces will be insufficient to mount effective resistance. On the screen, Yi-Jun was reviewing final attack plans. The Supreme Coordinator looked satisfied with the preparations. Begin Phase 2 in 6 hours, Yi-Jun commanded. All battle groups are authorized to engage primary targets. Rules of engagement: complete elimination, no survivors, no infrastructure preservation. Understood, Supreme Coordinator, came the combined voices of human commanders across the galaxy. Veltara looked at her companions. In 6 hours, the largest military campaign in galactic history would begin. Human fleets that had been hidden for 47,000 years would emerge to destroy every trace of the civilization she had grown up in. Is there nothing we can do? She asked. Yi-Jun's ancient face showed something that might have been sympathy. You have served your purpose, Dr. Veltara. Your archaeological work led to the discovery that triggered our awakening. Without your efforts, we might have remained dormant for another 3,000 years. You wanted us to find you. Eventually, all species discover us. It is inevitable as they advance technologically. Your species simply did so earlier than most. The countdown to Phase 2 appeared on the screen. Less than 6 hours until human warships would begin destroying every world in Council space. Adesadi, please tell us why. Professor Zixara pleaded. Why is complete elimination necessary? Yi-Jun was quiet for a moment, as if considering how to explain something to children. Because we learned long ago that the galaxy is not large enough for 2 apex predator species. Someone must be on top and someone must be food. Humans chose to be on top. The ancient human's face disappeared from the screen, replaced by tactical displays showing the positions of human fleets throughout the galaxy. In just a few hours, those fleets would begin their work. The 1,000 centuries of war were about to begin again. The attack began exactly as promised. At 18 Galactic Standard Time, human fleets emerged from hidden bases throughout the galaxy and began their work. Veltara and her companions watched it happen on the ship's main screen. Worlds she had grown up knowing about were being destroyed in real time. The beautiful blue planet of Centauri Prime, home to 4 billion people, went dark as human weapons turned its atmosphere into fire. "Fleet Admiral Sujung reporting," came the voice from the speakers. "Battle Group Alpha has eliminated primary targets in sectors 12 through 19. Enemy resistance was minimal." Battle Group Leader Dong Wook confirming elimination of Council. Capital Worlds. Government centers destroyed, leadership eliminated, military command structure no longer exists. Yi Jun listened to the reports with the calm satisfaction of someone watching a plan come together perfectly. Grand Admiral Min Ho, overall campaign status. Phase 2. Proceeding ahead of schedule, Supreme Coordinator. Organized resistance has collapsed. Remaining Council forces are scattered and unable to coordinate. Estimate total elimination completion in 8 months instead of projected 14. Excellent. Begin Phase 3 immediately. I want no survivors and no infrastructure that could be useful to future species. The screen changed to show human ground forces landing on Council worlds. These were not the hidden infiltrators who had sabotaged the defenses. These were open military units, armed with weapons that had been perfected over 100,000 years of galactic warfare. Colonel Hyo Ren, Surface Operations Report. Ground elimination proceeding efficiently. Population centers are being processed systematically. No significant resistance encountered. Veltara could not watch anymore. The processing meant the murder of every living being on dozens of worlds. Billions of people were dying while she sat safely inside this ancient human ship. "Why keep us alive?" she asked Yi Jun. "Why not kill us too? You serve a purpose." Previous elimination campaigns suffered from incomplete data collection. By preserving representatives of the target species, we can study their psychological responses to total defeat. You are keeping us as specimens. Correct. Your reactions to the elimination of your civilization will help us refine our approach for the next species that achieves technological advancement. Professor Zixara looked at the tactical displays. How many more are there? How many other species are developing in the galaxy right now? Current monitoring indicates 847 species at various stages of development. The most advanced are approximately 15,000 years from achieving elimination threshold. This meant that in 15,000 years, some other species would reach for the stars, build a civilization, and dream of exploring the galaxy. And when they did, humans would destroy them just like they were destroying the Council now. "It never ends," Thekmori said quietly. "Correct," Yi Jun replied. "Galactic dominance requires eternal vigilance. As long as humans exist, no other species will be allowed to threaten our position." The reports kept coming in. Battle after battle, world after world, the Galactic Council was being erased from existence. Major General Namgil reporting successful elimination of Council scientific installations. All research data has been secured or destroyed as appropriate. Agent Haiwan confirming destruction of historical archives on all major worlds. Previous galactic civilizations will remain unknown to future species. This was part of the pattern. Not only did humans destroy each civilization, they erased all record that those civilizations had ever existed. The next species to reach the stars would think they were the first, just like the Council had thought. Supreme Coordinator, this is Fleet Admiral Min Ho. We have secured the Council's deep space research stations. They were attempting to develop new weapons systems. Analysis? The weapons are primitive compared to human technology but show creativity. The Council might have lasted longer than projected if they had completed development. Noted. Ensure all research data is preserved for study before elimination of the installations. Even in the middle of genocide, humans were studying their victims' technology. They learned from every species they destroyed, making themselves stronger for the next campaign. The screen changed to show a new human fleet approaching. These ships looked different from the military vessels. They were larger and seemed designed for construction rather than destruction. Colonization fleet. Delta requesting permission to begin terraforming operations, a new voice reported. Permission granted. Begin converting suitable worlds for human habitation. Projected colonist arrival in 18 months. Veltara realized what was happening. Even before the elimination was complete, humans were already planning to move into the empty space. They would colonize the best worlds and turn them into new bases for watching the next species that tried to reach the stars. How many humans will move into our territory? Quindal asked. Approximately 50 billion initial colonists, expanding to 200 billion over the next 500 years. This will provide adequate population base for monitoring developing species in this galactic region. 50 billion humans would spread across the ruins of Council space. They would build new cities on worlds where entire alien civilizations had just been murdered. The communication system crackled with another report. Supreme Coordinator, this is Battle Group Commander Dong-wook. We have encountered an unexpected situation. Report. Several Council worlds have attempted surrender. Local populations are offering complete submission in exchange for survival. Yijun was quiet for a moment. Previous screens had shown that some civilizations had tried to surrender, but Veltara wanted to know what happened to them. Standard. Protocol applies. Surrender is not acceptable. Complete elimination must be maintained. Understood. Resuming elimination operations. There would be no mercy, no prisoners, no survivors. The humans had decided long ago that sharing the galaxy was impossible. Why? Veltara asked desperately. Why not accept surrender? Why not let some of us live? Yijun's ancient face appeared on the screen again. Because partial elimination leads to future problems. Survivors remember. They plan revenge. They warn other species. Complete elimination prevents all of these complications. But we could work together. We could be useful to you. You are useful to us, as subjects for study and as examples for the next species that becomes too advanced. But living subjects eventually become dangerous. Dead subjects remain safely educational forever. The final reports were coming in now. The Galactic Council, which had ruled 14,000 star systems for over 8,000 years, had been completely destroyed in just 6 months. Grand Admiral Min Ho reporting mission completion. All primary targets eliminated. Secondary targets eliminated. Infrastructure either destroyed or secured for human use. Total enemy casualties, 847 billion sentient beings. Human casualties, 23 individuals. 23 humans had died to eliminate an entire galactic civilization. The efficiency was horrifying. Excellent work, Grand Admiral. Begin Phase 4. Concealment preparation. Understood. All human forces will return to hidden bases within 60 days. Evidence of human involvement will be eliminated. Official records will attribute the Council's destruction to internal warfare and natural disasters. This was how humans had hidden their actions for 100,000 years. When the next species reached the stars, they would find ruins and evidence of ancient wars, but no sign that humans had caused the destruction. What about us? Professor Zixara asked. What happens to the 4 of us? Yijun considered the question. You will be preserved for study. Your reactions to observing your species' elimination provide valuable psychological data. You will live comfortably while human researchers study your responses to total civilizational loss. As prisoners, as research subjects, your well-being will be maintained indefinitely. You represent the final living examples of Council civilization. The screen showed human ships already returning to their hiding places. Within months, all evidence of the massive military campaign would be erased. The galaxy would look empty and peaceful again. In approximately 15,000 years, Yijun continued, the next species will achieve interstellar travel. They will explore the galaxy and find ruins of ancient civilizations. They will think these ruins represent natural disasters or primitive warfare, and then you will destroy them too. If they become advanced enough to threaten human dominance, yes. The cycle will repeat as it has for the past 100,000 years forever, for as long as humans exist. We are the galaxy's apex predator species. All other species exist only because we allow them to exist, and only as long as they remain harmless. The ancient ship systems began powering down. The emergency was over. The threat had been eliminated. Commander Hyunwoo and the other AIs could return to their long sleep. This vessel will remain active to monitor your psychological adaptation, Yijun announced. Your responses to permanent captivity and species elimination will be studied for approximately 50 years. After that, you will be preserved in stasis for future research. The screens went dark except for one small monitor showing the galaxy. Dots marked the locations of human bases throughout space. There were thousands of them hidden on dead worlds and in empty systems. Veltara looked at her three companions. They were the last free members of their species. Everyone else was dead. Their civilization was gone. Their worlds were being colonized by the species that had destroyed them.